Climbers, there are some things in life that must be non-negotiable. For some of you, it's family, religion, sports, etc. But what are your non-negotiables exactly? When it comes to your career, we're going to talk about non-negotiable today. Welcome to the Climb! This is a show dedicated to helping singers, songwriters, and indie artists like you create leverage in the music business. Leverage is what you are going to need. Absolutely non-negotiable. Leverage is what you're going to need to succeed in your dream here. That's why we call it the Climb. C.L.I.M.B. Creating leverage in the music business. The is not capitalized. It's not That's a Baxternym from my good friend and co-host, Mr. Brent Baxter. Brent's an award-winning hit songwriter with cuts by Alan Jackson, Randy Travis, Lady A, Joe Nichols, and more. Got a couple number ones in the last 24 months in Southern Gospel, so the train is still on the tracks, people. Mm-hmm. And what I love about Brent is he helps songwriters like you turn pro by revealing how you're going to write like a pro, do business like a pro, and then at the end of it all, when you get your game together, you need to have relationships with the pros. He helps with that too. You can find Brent very easily at songwritingpro.com. Once again, songwritingpro.com.
And I would like to introduce you to my co-host, Johnny Dwinell. Johnny owns Daredevil Production. They're breaking artists digitally by identifying new fans through data. If you're an artist looking to increase your streams, blow up your video views, sell more live show tickets, and get discovered by new fans, TV, and music industry pros, then Daredevil Production can help. Daredevil has worked with multi-platinum artists like Colin Ray, Tracy Lawrence, Ty Herndon, and Andy Griggs, just to name a few. You can find Johnny at daredevilproduction.com. That is production, singular, no S. There is no S because there is no other Johnny D.
There's a lot of people thankful for that, I can tell you.
Oh, well, you know. And Janelle has the market cornered on Johnny.
She has the market cornered. That's right. Every day she questions herself. What the hell was I thinking?
She's like, do I have the market cornered or am I cornered?
Speaking of which, you'll be proud of me. I am not. Listen, I can get by as a handyman, right?
Okay.
Like a mild, like a very low entry level handyman. But usually, I'm gonna get someone else or not a do-it-yourselfer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when you move in with your girl, there's like lots of stuff you got to do. You know what I mean? There's lots of stuff that needs to be done. So last night, you'll be proud of me. I installed my first of 3 flatties successfully.
Your first of 3 what?
Flatties, flat screens.
Oh, okay. Like hanging it up on the wall?
Yeah, like hanging up on the wall.
Nice.
And stuff. Like I got a stud finder.
Yes.
And
how many jokes did you?
I found a lot. I know a lot of that just came out right away because I'm that cheesy. Cheesy.
It's required. Step 1.
She's still stuck with me, which is brilliant. After that, she just should have packed up and left. She'd be like, "Okay, I was waiting for you to do that. Now I'm out. I'm gone."
That's it. I knew it was coming. Yeah.
But anyway, man, so it's super fun, dude, getting all this stuff together. I mean, I will say that today, the room that I am doing the podcast in, we had to rearrange some stuff to make a path to the table to put my computer because it's still just chaos. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way around it. The only way out is through on the chaos.
Exactly. Yes.
And we're both working real hard to get that done. So,
that's awesome. My parents just moved to town here. They just moved. They downsized and they just moved here. And so I'm getting more and more stuff from them. So they texted me this morning, "Hey, we have like a little mini fridge freezer, maybe something for your office. Are you curious?" I'm like, "You have my attention." Yeah. So I have, the couch out here. So I have a little outbuilding just right beside the house. So, Emily, my birthday's coming up. She got me a little 1-cup coffee brewer out here. I can do tea at night or something like that if I'm working out here. And I'm going to have a little fridge.
Emily got that for you? I love that. I love that she got that.
Yes. And I'm just like, I think I'm slowly being moved out here. Although I think I'm just one step closer to not having to come back in. Like all the band equipment came out here. So my kids' band, air quotes, breakfast for dinner is all the equipment. Got that moved out here. Got my workout equipment moved out here. The treadmill, the weight bench, all that stuff. So it's all crammed out here. I'm like, I think I'm getting moved out. I'm not sure. Either she loves me a lot or not at all.
It's a perfect, no, dude, that's a perfect hustle. That is brilliant. You're like, "Look, I'm just gonna be busy. I'll be." It's a
Yeah.
perfect man cave. And I
But
remember when the wall behind you, the wall of shame behind you,
oh yes,
was studs,
exactly. I did not need the stud finder because it was bare wall.
bare
So
wall.
yes, so it's come a long way.
Bare wall.
Hmm.
So,
So
man,
what do we got today?
we got
Non-negotiables.
non-negotiable, bro. Non-negotiable. We are gonna dig into I'm gonna make people do some thinking
Uh-oh.
today. And then in my show prep for this show, I created my next show, and we're gonna
Nice.
go in and talk about that. I'm just gonna do just a little teaser on that.
Hmm.
We're gonna go deep into failure.
Oh,
I found a
I can go
great
deep on that.
article on failure, and I mean, just reading it to my damn self, I'm like, oh, I got the chill bumps. You know what I mean? So I'm
Oh,
like, well, if I'm getting them, you're gonna get them. So we're gonna cover that on the next
I don't
episode.
need an article on failure. I call it my autobiography.
Well, I tell you what, let's do the opposite of failure right now. Let's talk
Yes.
about the climb community. We want you to join Facebook .com/groups/ the climb community. You have to ask to be let in. We let everybody in. And then you have to do the right thing, which is pretty easy. There's just 3 rules, I think, essentially, right?
Mhm.
Like, don't be a jerk, number
Yes.
1. Number 2, uh, we want you to brag about everything you want to brag about, your gigs, about your wins, about your new music that's coming out,
Mhm.
all that stuff. We want to hear about it all, but we have a place for you to put it. So because there's only 3 rules and they're really easy, the people who spam, like who spam and just like spray and pray in this
Mhm.
community, really, I'm getting very close to just having a like zero tolerance rule and not even
Yeah.
giving a warning, because clearly they're just not interested at all in adding value to the group. They're just like, oh,
No.
here's a bunch of like, and I don't know why you would think like, here's a bunch of musicians. These are my people. They'll buy my crap and come to my show. Like,
Right.
it's like asking a bunch of freaking construction workers to take time off of their job to come and
Like,
watch you pound nails. Why the
right.
hell would they do that? They know what they're doing too. They're busy working on their thing. These are contemporaries. These are your peers. These are people that you can bounce ideas off of. This is not a sales audience. This is B2B, baby, not B2C.
That's right.
Pull your head out of your keister. So, speaking of some wins, let's get to wins. Tell me about some
Yes.
Wednesday wins.
So every Wednesday, thankfully that now that Ren is on it, or it's Ren's Day, he we make sure that we have the new Heights
Wednesday,
segment.
Wednesday,
Ren's Day,
Wednesday.
yes. Make sure we have the new Heights post queued up and ready to drop, and it's where
Thank you,
we
Ren.
yes, thank you, Ren over there. He's working on something right now. His headphones on, but it's where we encourage you to share your wins with the group so we can celebrate with you. It's your chance to humble brag or even not humble brag, just straight up brag, whatever, because it's not spam, it's jam because we ask for it. And so they'll just share a couple with you. Bill O'Hanlon says got a sync placement the other day on an indie movie with my co-writers Lucy LeBlanc and Paul DeMarco. Got referred. Yes,
What
so
those
sync
guys are like
placement.
a machine.
They are pumping it out.
I'm so
He
proud of them.
Yes. So got referred to a high level contact at NSAI for a publishing deal possibility based on the song that knocked him out. So good week so far. So good job. And of course, you got to have several people like Randy Maynard, Brad Hacker, congratulating them because that's what happens in the community. You make community, you talk to people and you connect and good stuff happens. Speaking of Randy Maynard, he says we have 4 CCM cuts on a 5-song EP, Warner Records artist. Uh,
Oh,
and
good
let's
for
see, with
him.
Maynard, Burks, and Gurdian. I'm not sure how to pronounce the last name, and others, which releases soon. Cut with Avenue on their upcoming album. So Maynard,
Dude,
Burks,
congrats
and
on that.
Vegas.
Congrats
Yes,
on that. Like 4 cuts on a 5-song EP.
that's
That's
strong, right with the
80%.
arty.
That's 80% coverage right there. That's
It's hard to
epic. I don't
beat.
care who you are. That
It's hard to
is
beat.
epic, man. That's hard to beat,
Yes,
dude. That's a vulgar display of prowess. Everybody drink.
that's right.
Everybody drink.
Everybody drink. And it's not done. Got a stronghold with the Southern Gospel Group for an upcoming project, and I'm actually a writer on that song as well.
Oh, good.
Had first 2 songs forwarded to Taxi with amazing reviews. Big shout out to Bill O'Hanlon for taking the time to chat with me a few months back and turning us on to Taxi. So, hey, look at that. Bill O'Hanlon and community. Look at that.
Bill
Climber,
O'Hanlon
helping each
helping
other
out other
climb.
people in the community. First of all, I know Bill pretty well, and that is anytime you talk to people that you don't know Bill Hanlon, then you find out that they know Bill Hanlon.
Hmm.
That's the first Bill O'Hanlon. Sorry, that's the first thing out of their mouth. Like, I love that guy. Like, he just wants to help everybody else, and it's like the more people Bill O'Hanlon helps, it's strangely enough, the more he helps himself. It
That's how
it
it
is the
works.
perfect freaking recipe.
That's how it works.
He
Because
needs a
you
gold
think,
star for our
because you,
group. He needs a
because
gold
you
star.
think like somebody like Randy or anybody else who like Bill helps out won't be that much more likely to help him out if they get a chance. It's that whole know, like, and trust thing, right? They
Right.
help you out. Oh my goodness, I like them because they help me. I know them, otherwise they couldn't help me. Or it helps me get to know them better, and I start to trust them because they've come through in the pinch and helped
That's
me out
right.
before. So it's a great way to build that stuff. So those are just a couple of the wins on this wins
I love
day.
that. I got a couple wins.
Oh, share
And I
away.
have to put them in the group. I failed to put them in those sections, but uh so number one, I like so like I had a meeting with like my first like big label. Not It's not a major label, but it's a
Mm.
huge label called
Okay.
Black River. Like, great.
Oh
They
yeah,
have like Kelsey Ballerini. They got a new artist named Josiah
Joseph
Siska,
Josiah Siska. Yeah.
who's um that record is ridiculously cool, man.
Oh.
Like, this kid's like the real deal. Like, this is not in any way, shape, or form like a tent and pony show, man. This guy's like
Mhm.
good, like really good. These
I've
songs
been
are
pitching
amazing.
songs for that project. I've been trying to get on there. I've been circling.
Have
I've
you?
been circling. Yeah, yeah. I know one of the
Have you had a
A&R guys that
couple? Have you
listens
had a
for
couple
that.
bites?
So
Like the bobber go up and down at
yeah,
all?
the
Or?
bobber jumps up and down, and we're just trying to, nail it home. You know how it is with any project. It's just got to be just the right thing at the right time, saying the right thing they haven't quite said yet, and all those little things. And so
Well,
you
so
just,
this
taking
hasn't manifested
shots.
itself into anything else more than like a meeting at this point. But
Hmm.
I met with Doug Johnson, who's
Hmm.
the head of A&R over there, who also wrote Three Wooden Crosses and
Hmm.
God, what was the other big one that he wrote? I mean, he got a list a mile long, but
Yeah, I don't know. He's
uh,
written a bunch of stuff. That's obviously one of the biggies.
yeah, it's I mean, and he's such a sweet dude, such a sweet guy, this is a company that does a whole lot of anything they want to because they have that kind of budget, and
Hmm.
so they behave just in every way, shape, or form as a major label. So that's exciting, and Josiah was specifically the project we talked about.
Hmm.
So that may turn into a second meeting. I hope that it
Yeah.
does. Knock on wood. And also, my artist Josh Roy from Arizona. I'm producing his EP this coming September, like first week in September, so 6th through the 9th. And I got Zach Allen, my boy Zach Allen, my
Yeah.
engineer, like thrice Grammy winner, who's vulgar display of prowess there, and him and I are working diligently on getting that together. And so Josh has investors, and we had a bunch of investors lined up. About 50% of them came through. We were supposed to have like $100,000 budget for the promotion on this,
Hmm.
um, and we got like half of that. And
Hmm.
then I just got a call yesterday from his manager, Dennis. And we had some other investors that Dennis was working on who have now come through, transferred the money. And we've
Nice.
got we got over 100 grand to promote this project with. So super, super exciting. And Josh is like an amazing voice too, just the real deal, making a living doing it already. So we're just going to take what he's doing and the kind of excitement he can create to get people to come off this kind of money and make it bigger.
That's
So
awesome. You should definitely buy some advertising on the climb.
yeah. Hey, I think $100,000 advertising
On the climb would be great.
because all the people in the climb want to buy his stuff, right? Um,
Exactly.
what did I just say before? Oh my god. All right, so let's get to so tell a friend about it, guys. Follow the podcast and tell a friend about it. That's really the big thing. And I see a lot of that happening. Like lately, I'm seeing a lot of people that have been called to join. I don't know what they call it, but they can refer a friend or something like
Yeah, yeah.
within the climb community.
Invited by so and
They're
so or
invited. Yeah,
something.
they're
Yeah.
invited. That's the word. So I see a lot of that going on, and we're grateful for that. And you know
Yeah.
what? I think those people will be grateful too once they at least get a test. And just quick little side note, like rather than maybe just the broadness of the whole podcast, maybe pick like a specific episode and be like, hey, just check out this one
Hmm.
episode and tell me what you think, because you think it'll resonate with them, because it might be on a specific subject matter that you feel they might need to hear, and then that would probably be the crowbar to get them in
Hmm.
to becoming fans. So um so Brent and
Yes.
climbers, here's the deal. What if your success was non-negotiable?
What if?
And what do I mean by non-negotiable exactly? It means that thing that you want to do, artist, songwriter, you're going to make it no matter what, no matter how many times you fail,
Hmm.
right? So think about that in terms of like something that I can't speak intelligently on, which is being a parent.
Hmm. Yes.
Uh, but I mean, that's non-negotiable, right?
Yeah.
If you're a parent, and I don't know, there's not one parent on this planet from any culture that has a perfect record, you know.
Right.
In fact, there's probably a lot more failures than there are successes, but the care, the love, the willingness to play fair and all that turns
Hmm.
into like creating cool humans that add value to society. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But you don't have a choice on that, do you? Like,
No.
you know, you're going, you have to make it work, no matter how many times you fail. That's what I mean by non-negotiable.
Yeah. My kids are
Because
my kids, and as I've asked Emily uh, a time or two, am I too old to run away from home? The answer is yes. I'm too old to run away from home. I'm saying it.
you're too old, but you're not too old to talk your kids into running away from home.
It's
You
tough.
can you can be like, hey, this is
No.
a step up from telling him to go play in traffic.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah.
you know what? Like, you should run away from home. Life is better out there, Carl. The grass is greener. Right? At least for a couple weeks. Just give us a break.
Right.
But I think for most wannabe artists, and I said that wannabe, um, their success is negotiable, because
Mhm.
here's the thing: you will fail. Of course, you're
Oh
going to
yeah.
fail.
Mhm.
And your success is negotiable. So it's like they negotiate every day with themselves.
Mhm.
And what's crazy, and I think a lot of people are going to relate to this, is that so many artists, and again, when I say artists, it's just in terms of brevity. It's not artists and songwriters. Songwriters are artists to
Yeah.
me. Okay, so whether you're doing the artist thing, I realize there's a distinction in the music industry. You're still a craftsman. That's the deal. But I think so many artists are not even arguing on the side of themselves during the conversation they're having in their head.
Mhm.
They're not advocating for themselves. They're self-sabotaging instead, right?
Yeah.
They're finding other things to do to create quote unquote life situations which occupy their time from doing
Mhm.
whatever they're supposed to be doing to succeed more at being an artist, right? Like
Stephen Pressfield will call that the resistance.
the resistance, yeah,
Yeah.
like some of the artists sometimes. Well, I just suck at social media. Wow, that is just like to the tune of our last episode, my last episode, Brent. You
Mhm.
summed it up a different way. That's like, well, listen, I want to be Eddie Van Halen on guitar, and that's what I want to do, but I suck at guitar.
Right. That's the only thing in my way.
Like, okay, so yeah, I want to be a plumber, but I suck at it. But you still go forth and try to be a plumber. Like,
Mhm.
like do the world a favor, right? I mean, this is part of the gig, right?
Yes.
So mastering social media, mastering paid digital promotion, right? Mastering promo in a way that makes sense to you. There's a way to do it. You can't start with, I think promo's icky. You can
Mhm.
say, I think this particular kind of promo's icky. So, well, how else can we promote, right?
Man,
Um,
just to interject for a second, basketball season is well, the Hogs just finished up a European tour at the time of this recording, so exhibition games and stuff, and so I've been thinking about basketball a little bit more, and the guys that want to go pro, the NBA, there's certain things you have to be able to do depending on your position. Like
yeah,
if you're a big man, if you can work on everything from, more than 5 feet away from the basket, mid-range, long-range jumpers that can make a huge difference in your value in the NBA. So if you're not just in the low post or whatever, you're not
Yeah.
just shot blocker, not just a dunker. If you can move that game out more or work on your defense, and so you hear these guys that are phenomenal athletes. They're D1 basketball players. They're no slouches, and they have some particular skill sets that are really highly advanced. But it's like, yeah, man, they're really good at college level. If they want to go pro, they got to work on these couple things of their game.
Yeah.
And a lot of them that eventually become successful work hard at what they're not good at, because they know it takes all these things to make it in the majors, to make it in the league.
Yeah.
And so I think about that being an artist, being, if you want to be a successful singer, songwriter, whatever. Well, I'm not good at social media. Well, you know what? You're like a low post player. I'm great at dunking, blocking shots, filling up the lane.
Oh, so
You
good.
got to work. You got to work that outside game a little bit more if you want to make it to the league.
So
You want
good.
to
If
make
you want to be a well-rounded player and make the league, if you want to be competitive in the league, let's describe it like that,
Mhm.
then you need these other tools.
It's like
Or it doesn't matter how good at dunking you are, the fact that you're 7'4".
right. It's like there are other people that are going to be able to do that, and Kevin Garnett take a 3-pointer, Dirk
Yeah.
Nowitzki take a 3-pointer, and or running
Michael
back.
Jordan. Michael Jordan was 6'6", which is really tall in terms of the rest of the world, but in,
Yeah.
in NBA basketball, not
Right.
even average, smaller than average.
It's crazy.
Smaller than average on terms of NBA, where I think maybe the average height is probably 6'8".
I don't know, but they're tall.
I mean, yeah, but 6'6" is not.
It's not imposing, towering.
That is low percentile, man. Like
Yeah.
in terms of height, just specific height. One of the greatest players ever to play the game, bar
Mhm.
none. I don't think that's arguable. And look at that. But 3-pointers, defense,
Mhm.
offense, low post, the dunk.
It
The Nike
everything.
freaking like the basketball logo is him, right? Isn't that?
Right. Well,
No,
the
it's
Air
Nike
Jordan
with
logo is him.
the Air Jordan. Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
mean.
that's him. That's his silhouette. I think of NFL players. Like if you're a running back, it helps your marketability, your value in the league, if you can catch a pass. So you can,
And also
you can catch
block,
if you can. You got to be able to block, right? No, I
pass
run the rock.
protection.
Just hand me the rock. I run. Yeah, but if
Yeah.
you don't know how to block, you're not going to last in the league. They got to have pass pro. They got to have pass protection. Otherwise, every time you come in, they know it's not going to be a pass play, and therefore
Yep.
the defense reacts and they're going to stuff you at the line. You
Yep.
got to be able to block, and if you can catch a pass out of the backfield, that majorly up. But just hand me the ball. I run. I'm really good at that. Yeah, you're not going to make it in the league. You got to be
Yeah.
good at some
And
other
how
stuff.
about this? So you brought up football, and I remember
Sorry, this is probably a whole different episode. Sorry.
but we're getting into like the minutia of it, which I really like, and I can't remember the name of it's a safety. It was a huge famous safety from the Patriots, but I think pre Brady
Ooh.
Patriots, maybe the first few seasons of Brady, and I can't remember his name right now. But okay, if you're a safety, if you're backfield, then you are up against what you're doing is defending wide receivers that are coming
Yeah.
out, right? And there's two things that wide receivers absolutely must have. Number one is the ability to catch a ball. You have to have hands, right, to
Right. Yeah.
catch it. And so typically safeties are wide receivers who don't have hands. Okay.
Exactly. If they can
The
catch it, be
second
an
thing you have
offense.
to have
Yeah.
is speed. You
Mhm.
have to be freaking fast, because the faster that you can get downfield, because those plays develop so quickly, the more yardage you're going to get. And if you can get
Mhm.
faster downfield and catch that ball, that's the difference between a touchdown and winning the game or not.
Yep.
That's what makes your marquee value wide receivers. Well, this guy is, and I remember this. It was a documentary, I think, on him, where so he is already a $1 million elite player in the NFL as a safety. He's a star safety.
Was it like Ty
And
Law or something?
Ty Law, dude, yes, that's it.
Yes.
Ty Law,
All
and
right.
he's going to okay, so who was the Michael Jordan of track, female track? Was her
Jackie Joyner
Jackie
Kersey.
Joyner? Yeah.
Jackie Joyner Kersey.
He goes to her to do what? Learn how to run better. She looked at him and she laughed like, "Oh, that's cute." He's a rock star. He is in the like the top 1%
Yeah.
of the league, and specifically of what he does, and but he's not done learning and
Hmm.
trying to do. And she looked at the way that he runs, and she's like, "That's cute." Like we'd know this is not the way we run.
You
You know
call
what
that
I mean?
running? Yeah.
And so he had to retool the way he ran. But was he having a problem? No, because he was on the search for excellence. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's that thing. So
That's cool.
yeah, I mean, so I want you to think climbers like about how success is negotiable for you. You know, how negotiable is your success, right? In terms of your artist career, your songwriting career, right? Does it mean that your song is no good after one rejection? It does mean that your artist project is no good because it doesn't go viral. Does it mean that you can't be? And this one just winds me up uh,
Hmm.
so much. Does it mean that you quote unquote can't find a good enough musician, like a guitar player or drummer that cares enough to emotionally invest in your project?
Right.
I mean, do you know how many times I get that? And let me tell you, it's like immediate tough love. Johnny comes crushing down in his uncompassionate voice of "You got to be freaking kidding me!" It's hard to find good musicians. Blah blah blah. You live in a major metropolitan area,
Hmm.
and I found boatloads of musicians, including the guys that went on with me to create success in my band. I think JMO is the drummer is at the top of that. I mean, he's played with the Allman Brothers. He's played with freaking. I got pictures of him playing with Eric Clapton. Okay,
Hmm.
he lived 2.5 miles from my house in Delavan, Wisconsin. Delavan,
Yeah.
Wisconsin, 5,000 people, right? And we went through boatloads of band members, drummers, guitar players,
Hmm.
different. Like we had singers when I was just doing the guitar. I mean, like when you are on the scene, man, the cream rises to the top. But everybody that's trying to be on the scene is all of a sudden becomes a parent,
Hmm.
and there are options, right, that
Yep.
present themselves. So um, so if success is negotiable, then you're going to let your perception of a lack of talent in your area, which is, if I can find it in Delavan and Lake Geneva, um, and you can't find it in Philly or Colorado or
Right.
in Denver or Philly
Right.
or Baltimore, then man, that is like, I don't know what's worse, the fact that that you believe that, or the fact that you also think it's okay to say that out loud. Like,
Yeah.
come on, that there should be that's a cringe-worthy statement, right?
Oh man, I come from a town of 10,000 people, Batesville, Arkansas,
Yeah,
and who also happened to be from Batesville, Arkansas, graduated high school a year ahead of me. That also I happened to go to Razorback football camp with, and we played on the football team together. Matt Dame,
nice.
Matt Dame, who ended up becoming one of the top demo singers in Nashville for years, and is currently the lead vocalist for the Steel Drivers, Grammy-winning bluegrass band.
Yeah,
Oh, well,
yeah,
look, even in our small town, there's, and they aren't the only talent, but he's just currently, one of the biggest from our small little town. We have
yeah.
Tim
I
Kraft, who lives in Strawberry, right down the road, who has played on the Opry, and he's a multi instrumentalist and played with all these people, mandolin and all this different stuff, and he still lives in freaking Strawberry, Arkansas, right down the
yeah,
road.
yeah.
It's like people are around. It's crazy. You'll be surprised.
It's what I find. It's more um like there's talent everywhere. It's finding the right minded people
And
that
being a good
will.
option. A lot
Yeah,
of it is it's a lot easier to find talent when you're when you are talent, and
yeah.
you'll attract talent.
Or at least you're on the scene
Hmm.
trying to be talented, you know what
Yep.
I mean?
Hmm.
And you're going to create relationships, and they're going to recognize something that you have, and you have to be out there. I mean, I think about Asheville, North Carolina.
Hmm.
Like, who's come out of Asheville, North Carolina? Warren Haynes
Hmm.
from the Allman Brothers and from Government Mule.
David
Audley
Wilcox.
Freed,
Oh
one of
yeah.
my absolute favorite guitar players,
Hmm.
who was in Cry of Love. If you haven't heard the Cry of Love records, man, if you like rock and roll in any way, shape, or form, like go listen to the first two, the only two Cry of Love records with Audley. There's two different singers on there, but
Mhm.
That was when he was in his Jimi Hendrix phase, man, and it was
Mm.
like ridiculous. And now he's gone on he played with the Black Crowes. He did an album
Mhm.
with the Black Crowes. He is on that Black Crowes live album with Jimmy Page at the Greek
Mhm.
Theater, which is an epic Black Crowes album. Him and his wife tour with Sheryl Crow.
Mhm.
I mean, he's a monster. Dave Fowler comes out of Asheville, North Carolina. Travis Tidwell, you know what? They're there, man. That's
Yeah.
not bigger than Delavan. Asheville's bigger than Delavan.
Yes.
Not Nashville, but Asheville.
Asheville.
But they're there if you want to find them. You know.
Yeah, I
So
mean, David Wilcox came out of there, who's a very successful singer-songwriter, folky,
yeah,
who's just amazing. So, yeah,
yep.
all kinds of people all over the place.
Um, so when you talk about like how non-negotiable success is, right? This brings it back to this sort of breakdown on failure, right? Which is 50% of people, therefore 50% of artists and songwriters will quit after what they deem to be their first failure.
Mhm.
Whatever that is, right? And of course, the criteria for what each artist constitutes as a failure is completely subjective to each artist and their fears and their what they view their self-worth to be
Mhm.
and how bad they want it, right?
Right.
Um,
I mean,
80
for me, if I were to play backyard football, for me, a failure might be to lose a game or to throw an interception if I'm playing quarterback. For Tom Brady, a failure is not winning the Super Bowl. Doesn't really
Yeah,
matter
exactly.
how many incompletes or whatever you throw in the process. Did I win the Super Bowl? For me, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, threw an incomplete pass. That landed in the dirt. I'm a failure. Oh,
Yeah, Babe
I
Ruth.
got
Babe Ruth,
intercepted.
best
Yeah.
hitter of all time, also most strikeouts.
Right. Yep.
So what's a failure? Is it negotiable or non-negotiable, right?
Mhm.
And therefore, moving on, 80% of artists are going to quit after what they deem to be their second failure, and 95% of artists are going to quit after their third failure. So you're the if it's non-negotiable and you're willing to fail as often as it takes to get to where you need to go, you see how much the herd thins, right?
Mhm. For sure.
You're going to fail, right? If you think that you're going to succeed at anything without a boatload of failure along the way, then you're bullshitting yourself, and or you're describing a business experience as like some kind of W-2 employee at a super organized, massive corporate company like McDonald's, where the systems are literally, and I mean literally, set up so that children can run the store.
Mhm.
Kids run McDonald's stores.
Yeah.
They're owned by adults, but kids run them. Why? Because the systems are so good and everybody knows what they're supposed to do and nobody has to think about anything.
Yep.
It's all there,
This is not
and
the world
and
we
and
live in.
I'm not saying anything bad about this kind of work, but this is the opposite of any description of entrepreneurship in any
Mhm.
industry. Oh, right. I almost forgot. You're an entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's right.
If you're an artist or a songwriter, you're an entrepreneur. And the entrepreneurship is defined as creating a business on your own, right? Creating
Mhm.
money and cash flow from thin air. So if you've made $1, one penny playing out as an artist, then or from tips on a writer's night as a singer songwriter, then you're an entrepreneur now. And
Mhm.
now it's just a level of how successful your entrepreneurship will be.
Yeah.
And entrepreneurship is also defined as creating something bigger than yourself, which I think is what people are really trying to do. And so it kind of brings me to my next point here. So non-negotiable means you're willing to fail as often as it takes to find a path to being a successful artist, no matter what success means to you, like
Mhm.
as you define success. So, when people do this, when artists do this, when songwriters do this, when entrepreneurs do this, they make money by accident doing what they're born to do.
Mhm.
If your success is non-negotiable, you're going to make money by accident. And why do I mean by accident? Because you're so busy focused on trying to figure out what you need to learn from the last failure. All of a sudden, oh, look at that. I just made some money.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that worked. We should
Yeah.
do that again. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
That happens so often. And more importantly, regardless of how much money you think is required to become successful, and when I talk about money, it's not about the rich and famous thing. It's just money is a metric on on success,
Yeah.
right? So to me, when we talk about Mark Maxwell and the Louisville Crashers up
Hmm.
there, maybe one of the world's greatest cover bands up there. All these guys have been through the system before and had record deals and all that. Now they all own their own businesses. They all own their own businesses. They have families. Nobody wants to go out on tour and do the big artist thing, but yet they have this cover business that they built up to a $500,000 a year thing that they just freaking enjoy doing. They have a huge road crew. It's been a decade since either one of them has set up one thing on stage.
Nice.
They literally show up 15 minutes before showtime and everything's ready to go because they've got it down to a science. And that's success to them. And you know what? They all enjoy hanging with each other. And it's a $500,000 business, and that's their vacation money. That's what they do to go on vacation.
That's success.
Right. And
Yeah.
but they love it. And so it doesn't matter, but money is is one metric that measures that success. And
Hmm.
here's the other one. Regardless of how much money you think is required to become successful, the people who are willing to fail as often as it takes, meaning the people whose success is non-negotiable to them, I believe that I think the one metric that, especially when it comes to singers and songwriters and artists, that everybody has with the money in this pile over here, forget about the money for a second, it's impact.
Hmm.
They want impact,
Yeah.
you know? Like they want impact. Whether you're at a writer's night and you sing that song and you just people's jaws are on the floor and they're just like, "Oh my god," you
Hmm.
know. Brent, when I talk to people about you and I'm discussing us in some circles or whatever, and they know your name, but maybe they don't know you
Hmm.
really well, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, he wrote Monday Morning Church for Alan Jackson." Like, oh, impact, right? That is
Yeah.
like one of those songs that songwriters love as
Hmm.
well as clearly the public,
Yeah.
the market. And so I think everybody's idea of success in some way, shape, or form involves impact. You want to slay people with your live show.
Hmm.
You want, the video views and Spotify streams are a metric of impact. Virality is a measure of impact on a certain song. If you've got people, that are, if you've got the tear your flesh from bone song and people are bawling out in the
Hmm.
audience when you sing it live, that's impact, and
Yeah.
that's what we kind of get off on. You know what I mean? Like when you're really
Hmm.
making it happen. And so you want your songs to impact people, you want your performances to impact people, you want your records to impact people. And if your idea of success, doesn't involve rich and famous, uh, I know it involves impact. And
Yeah.
so if you want that, if you want to be impactful, if you really want that success needs to be non-negotiable, which means that you are going to do it meaning that you're going to fail at doing it
Hmm.
until you find the path to success.
I mean, I have failed so many times. You
Oh,
know,
brother.
there's that quote about Michael Jordan. You just bringing him back up. It's like, I've attempted this many game-winning shots that didn't go in. I've missed this many free throws or whatever. And because I failed so much, that's why I succeed. Just because he's taken all those shots. And I was pitching some songs last night and was looking at my pitch catalog that I've been keeping forever, and it's in the thousands.
Yeah.
Are my cuts in the
You pay,
thousands? No,
no.
no. And so the success rate on pitching
the
is
pitch the
just
pitch to close ratio.
it's just so horrific. And it's that way for any publishing company, anybody who's doing it, right? If
Mhm.
you're doing it, you're failing. And it's like, what? You just got to look at it like, well, I'm not failing because didn't get this song didn't get cut, or these pitches are probably mathematically not going to turn into anything. I'm not failing because of that. I'm succeeding because I'm trying. I
Yeah.
succeed because I pitch, not because of a particular outcome. Now, that doesn't mean that I can be sloppy with my pitching. I still hold myself to a high standard. I want this to be a valid pitch that can solve somebody's problem, that can, all that kind of stuff. That stuff matters. But I have to look at and go, you know, I'm successful because I get to mark off pitch, you know, my right record access pitch thing that I'm trying to hit every day. I can mark off pitch. I did my job today and that's successful. I've had more number ones since I lost my first publishing deal than I did before, you
Isn't that
know?
strange? Like,
Um,
it's so interesting with, you know, what an interesting statistic. I mean, that is, and then you figured out through a roundabout way, right? Like
mhm,
how to, because I know this about you, Brent, your success was non-negotiable as a songwriter. And so you had to regroup there. You started having a family. You started
mhm,
having to, take care of the family. There were some other priorities that came into it,
yeah,
got you off the path a little bit.
yeah, mhm,
And you came back around, but it wasn't through the front door, man. It was through
right.
like the back. Like, I think you came in like through the basement and up the back stairs or something.
Yeah,
But here you are. You know what I mean?
mhm.
Like right back at it, and right back. Like the relationships are rejuvenated. You've done a boatload of work to make that happen, and figured out how to create and take care of your family along the way. That's non-negotiable. There's
Man,
a way to do it.
that and that's
Like,
the
can
thing.
anybody else do exactly what you did? Probably not.
They're gonna
That
do
in exactly that
their own
way.
way. Yeah, they're gonna make
Yeah.
their own chart their own path, but that's the thing, and yeah, my biggest failure, I guess we call it that, is when I had to get out of the business for a while, and I lost another publishing deal, the investor just got out of the business. We had kids, my wife was done
So
with
you
it.
lost a publishing deal through no fault of your own. They ran out of money.
Well, I mean, I guess you could say if I'd gotten more cuts, I can't put that all on anybody else. Like, yeah, if I got more cuts, if it'd been making money, yeah. So I own part of that for sure,
Oh, okay.
because I want to learn from that, not just remember if you're a victim, you never have to change and get better. So
Mhm.
I wasn't a victim in that, but nor was I in the fact that my wife was done with it because I wasn't a great husband at times because of music, and had to get out of the business for a while and go do a day job, do a sales thing, and then had to recalibrate and, like you said, come back in, sneak through the basement, the cellar window or something into it, but in a way that brought my family along with me and
Mhm.
have a better marriage now. I'm a better husband and have had, some of my best success since sneaking back in. And so was it a failure? Well, it was a chance to begin again more wisely.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it definitely felt like a failure, and I think it was in a lot of ways, yes, it was a failure. Okay, well, I failed. That doesn't mean I'm a failure. Get back up and get back in it. There's a difference between failing and being a failure.
That's a good point right there. There's a difference between failing and being a failure. And I mean, I think a lot of people, a lot of like on the maybe people who tend to be envious or something like that, in terms of situations like this, would think, well, it's easy to make it non-negotiable when right out of the box before you even had a pub deal, you get a top five hit with
Mhm.
Alan Jackson, with one of country music's biggest stars. But that's not the case at all.
No. No, it's
In
hard on
fact,
everybody.
it's more weight on it because now you're like, well, how am I gonna do that again?
Right.
And then all of a sudden, the cash flow is significantly different than having a top five, unless you can have another one right behind it, and another
Mhm.
one, and another one,
Yeah.
and another one, and another one. You know what I mean? And it doesn't always happen like that. So I
It
think
has its
it's
own set of landmines for sure.
yeah, yeah, it's a different set of landmines, so that's huge, man. But that's what I want to talk about, just like non-negotiable. Like, is your success non-negotiable?
Mhm.
I mean, I'm hell bent on re-architecting a pipeline, a framework for breaking artists digitally,
Mhm.
right? And every year we get another chance with more money,
Mhm.
and we have all kinds of little wins along the way. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
we're putting this together, but every year we get people have a little bit more faith in us,
Mhm.
and we're trying to do that. But man, I can straight up, I'm a killer sales guy. I could be making seven figures over the last 12 years
Yeah.
doing anything else but this.
Yeah.
But it's non-negotiable.
Mhm.
There's an itch I want to scratch. I got something I got to prove to
Mhm.
myself. You know what I mean? Like, I know I can figure this out, and that'll be the dent in the universe that I'm going to leave. You know what I mean? Like, that's going to be it. Like, it's going to. If people are all of a sudden, it's going to be the game changer. It's like Moneyball for the music industry.
Yeah.
That's it. And it's non-negotiable. No matter how many times there's been times too where it's like, this did not need to happen right now, not right now.
Yeah.
But if it's non-negotiable, you figure out a way through.
Mhm.
So anyway, that's it, guys. So that takes us to the end of another Killer Climb episode. Make sure that you follow the podcast, join the Climb community, leave a rating and review on iTunes, and tell a friend about it. This podcast exists because we want you to win. So keep on climbing.
And we'll see you at the top.